Okay, so we are going to do a brief folding exercise, hoping that it will help to make some of the ideas of points, lines, and planes more clear. And so we're going to take our piece of tracing paper here. You'll see it's in a square, and the first thing we're going to do is simply fold our paper in half. But as you do so, I want you to think about your own thinking and your own sensing. And when I fold this in half, where do my eyes go? Where do I look? What do I trust about this paper to help me fold it in half? And notice that all of your concentration is not on the fold itself, but it's on other parts of the paper, so that when you do make the fold, you actually don't see it happen. The fold happens underneath your fingers in darkness. And yet, it works out. The paper lays flat, and my fold, I can trust, is a straight path. So open it back up, and you've got your fold there. And we're going to take our scissors and simply cut along the fold. But once again, noticing, how do you make a straight cut? Where do your eyes go? What do you look at in order to make as good of a cut as possible? And I am not perfect. You are not perfect. But what kinds of adjustments do we make as we're cutting in order to cut it as straight as possible? In particular, where do you look? Where do your eyes go when it's working the best? There it is. Not perfect. I've changed my factory-made piece of paper into a human creation. It's become slightly less perfect, but that's okay. That's what I have to work with. All right. So the next thing is we're going to make a few points on this piece of paper. Remember, a point is an exact location, but the point also has to be something that you can see. So an exact location that you can also see, as we can see, our first task is impossible, or certainly very profound. And so we're going to do our best. And remember that a point is represented by a dot. So just practice making a few points. Figure out how big you want your points to be. We're going to be making a lot of points this year. Figure out how you want to draw them. And draw a few till you get a feeling that feels right to you. And once you've got the hang of it, I want you to pick out one of your points. I'm going to pick out this one right here. And you're going to attempt to fold the paper so that your point falls on the fold. And once again, I want you to notice, because this time it's going to be a little different. What do you look at this time in order to fold it right on that point? See, what am I looking at? Okay. So, there we go. Okay, I'm going to try to fold it right through that point. All right, not bad, not perfect. Take a look at mine, take a look at yours. Did we end up with the exact same fold? Possibly not. So what can we do to make a fold that is closer to each other in terms of which way it's going on the paper? So let's start off by going up to the top of our paper. And this time we're going to make 2 points. Remember, your points need to be a little bit wider than the width of your pencil lead so that you'll be able to see your points after you use your straight edge to draw your line. And this time I'm going to try to fold through both of these points and see if we can come up with something that's a little closer to each other in outcome. So there we go. Got that fold, and perhaps yours looks a little closer to mine this time. Okay. Now that we have two folds on our paper, we are going to attempt to fold one of the folds on top of the other one. And so this is going to require us to use the transparent nature of our paper and just try to get one fold right on top of the other one. And when you do so, as you're doing this, try to see, is there more than one way that you could position the paper to get one fold on top of the other? And why or why not would that be possible? Okay, so I'm going to try to see right on through there. One fold on top of the other. And complete. Okay, now I've got three folds. And I'm just going to take a look at them. And what do I notice about these three folds and their relative slope, you could say? And what do I wonder about in terms of this? Okay. So now that I've got that, I am going to try another point somewhere up around my first fold. And this time, what I'm going to try to do is make a fold that goes through my point, but at the same time, I want this fold that I already made to end up on top of itself. Okay? So that's the point that I'm going to go through, and I'm going to get this fold on top of itself. So, once again, it's a little tricky. I'm going to use the transparent nature of my paper here. And I think I've got it pretty much perfect. Right there. So my fold is on top of itself, like that, and I've gone through my point here. And what do you notice about these folds, about these two folds in particular? So, now that I've got my new fold that swings down like this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put another fold through this point and fold this fold on top of itself, like so. Okay, I'm concentrating very hard, as you can see. And there I've got my fold right on top of itself, and not quite straight through my point, but we are all works in progress. So I'm going to get better. So now I've got these three folds. And what can I say about their relationship to each other, and why might that be true? Okay, we've about folded up all we can do on this paper, so we're going to get out our straight edge and just practice drawing, picking out some points that we've already drawn, and practice lining up our straight edge and figuring out, let's see, I'll go between these 2 points here, figuring out what's the best way to arrange my straight edge so that I can draw a line that goes right through my points, like so. Not perfect, but it's okay. Barely showed up. All right, so let's move on to another one. How can we move it so that we're able to go straight through? So you can pause the video if you want and practice some of these. Another thing you want to practice is, if I've got this point here and this point here, try to draw a line segment that starts at the very middle of one of these points and ends, where's my other one? There it is. And ends right in the middle of the other, like so. And do that a few times, trying to draw line segments. Okay, pieces of a line that have endpoints. And what's the best way to position your ruler your straight edge to do that. Okay. And keep practicing. You'll get better and better. Set that half aside. Let's move on to our other half of our tracing paper. And on this tracing paper, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to start with a line that goes kind of along one of my long sides here. And take it all the way across, like so. Nice and dark so we can see it this time. And I'm going to draw some point that is not on the line, like so. After that, I'm going to draw 5 points. You can do more than this if you want. 5 points that are on the line. Just moving along beside my original point there. And I'm going to do a series of 5 folds where I take my point that's not on the line and I fold it on top of the points that are on the line. So you're going to have to really kind of push it down a little bit so that you can see through your paper. Get the wrinkles out of there. Get them right on top, like that. Put your fold in. And these folds, it's going to be helpful if you can make them nice and strong so that you can see them later. So there's my first one between there and there. My next one is going down here to my next point. And what are you looking at? And what does it feel like to work with points, lines, and planes? Okay, like so. And there's my second one. So I've got 2 of them. This is the fold between these 2 points, and this is the fold between these 2 points. I've got 3 more to do, and I'm going to leave the surprise for you to discover. So give it your best shot. Try to fold these last 3 folds. See what it looks like. I've got a couple of reflection questions that I'm going to put up on Google Classroom. Take a look at those, and if you don't mind responding with your thoughts. And remember, as you're doing all these activities, all these exercises, just pay attention to what you look at, what it feels like, and what you notice and what you wonder. And I will see everybody next week.